Hey guys, so I am currently receiving a lot of requests for proofreading or from prospective SciencesPo master students, and I wanted to come on here and share a few frequently asked questions about the application process and going through all of that. So the first thing I get asked a lot or quite frequently about is the essay. I recommend to all of my students to adopt a chronological format or logic order for the essay because I think it's the most natural and easy to read. So what I mean by that is, going through chronological order. So you might start off with a personal anecdote from your childhood or upbringing, go into your educational background, your early professional career if you have one, or any professional experience you might have, then talking about your current passions and interests, how you're going to translate all of that into your time at SciencesPo, so the courses you would take or are looking forward to taking, the professors you're fond of, why you want to be in Paris maybe, and then finally talking about your future career goals or aspirations. And in that final part, I think, as it is a master application, it's very important to be specific in what you want your future to look like, what initiatives you want to be part of, or organizations you want to work for, regions you want to work in, issues you want to address, whatever it is, however you want to tackle that, whether you want to stay in academia, go off and do field work or work for a specific organization or cause, be as specific as possible, make it regional, make it sound like a very ambitious goal. I think that's something that SciencesPo definitely appreciates. So that's pretty much the order of the essay that I think works really well and is just a lot easier and more interesting to read than regurgitating your CV. I see a lot of people try to do that by adding filler words and fluffy words, but really just going through all of your past experiences in a really cold way, and that just doesn't work and it's just not nice to read. So that's my advice for the essay, really. Again, as for any SciencesPo program, whether it's the undergraduate college, the master's, I think it only benefits you to demonstrate that you know what the program you're applying for is about, that you're someone that wants an international career or at least appreciates the sort of international environment that SciencesPo fosters, and someone that's multilingual. That doesn't hurt. Those things that I mentioned in the undergraduate college video, that still applies. It's really, they want future leaders, they want someone that's ambitious, so now's your time. The essay is really your time to show that off, I think. And so that's the essay. The CV is another topic. This is more difficult to give advice on because SciencesPo is so international, and really even the Master of International Security, there are students that have engineering backgrounds, that have poli-sci backgrounds, that have... I haven't met anyone with a theater background yet, but you really want to make it easy for them to read your CV because the pool of applicants is so diverse, both in terms of nationality and expertise or field of study. So if you can just make the CV as easy to read as possible, that's going to be a huge advantage to you. Ways you can do that: my biggest piece of advice for CVs to my students is to have an about me or a profile section at the top under your name. You just say, one or two sentences about maybe your nationality, if that's complicated, okay, I'm Polish American, I'm a foreign service kid, I've lived and worked in these countries, I'm passionate about X, X, and X, and I'm an aspiring policy analyst. Just having that makes it very clear where you're from, what you're about, and what you want in life, or in your career. And I think it just comes across as very polished and thought out and just very bold, it's giving. So that's the CV. That being said, make sure to include your languages and some hobbies to make to make the CV a bit more personal, but it's really up to you whether you want to have a picture, whether you want to have colors in it. That doesn't really matter, I don't think, and whether it's 1 page or 2, I don't think that matters. But yes, definitely try to make it as easy for them as possible. So that also means having locations on all your educational and work experiences and the time frame, and making sure things are in chronological order from most recent to least recent. Having volunteer work is also quite important because SciencesPo is big on civic engagement. So yeah, if you want to send me your CV, by the way, as I say all of this, if you want to send me your CV or essay for proofreading, you can send them to me on my Instagram, you can send me a DM, or you can send them to me via email, and I'll get back to you within a day. And then, so that's the CV. The third topic is about reference letters. I think it's smart to include reference letters. I say why not, but it's definitely not super common among my students. Like, some people just don't want to, and that's fine. I think it's nice to have one professional and one academic. If you're a young professional, if you've already had quite a few years of work experience, it's not necessary to have an academic one, but I think having a work experience or a professional one that can speak to your practical skills, and then having an academic one that can speak to your knowledge, especially about the master you're applying to, just makes for a really nice application, because you have sort of the academic, then you have like the practical coming together. So yeah, and a lot of people also say, oh, I have 2 professors, one that knows me better and the other one that doesn't know me that well, but they teach me a course, or the course they teach me is more related to the master I'm applying to. I wouldn't overthink it. Just go for the one that you think will write about you in a really nice way, the best way possible. Maybe the professor that's more eloquent, or the professor that knows you better, and they'll have a lot more to say about you. But again, I wouldn't overthink it. And then the fourth and final topic people ask me about is concentration. So for the Master of International Security, you can choose 2. For governance and diplomacy, unfortunately, you can only choose 1 from the thematic and regional. So it's a little more difficult to choose. But again, with this, I would say don't overthink it. It should be exciting to choose a concentration. Don't think too much about employability. I know it can be tempting to try to, pick the perfect pair and then think that you're going to get the perfect job because you can. And while that is true, that the concentrations are quite important and can help you in your future career, I also think that for me personally, I benefited so much from choosing one that I actually knew nothing about and didn't think would serve me even in my future career. So I actually ended up choosing the Middle Eastern regional concentration. And just because I knew nothing about it really, in terms of politics and conflict in the region, and I was just naturally curious about it. And I don't think I'm going to work in the Middle East, or that it's really going to be something I'll mention in interviews, but I have no idea. Basically what I'm saying here is you're also at PSIA to learn. You're still in academia, you're still learning, so unless you have, the 2 perfect concentrations, I would say go for one that you're just naturally curious about, and just kind of, not for fun, but just choose one. Just choose it and just don't even think about it. That being said, it is also important to think about employability and to make sure that you have at least one concentration that could potentially help you in a job interview or in your future career. So I went for intelligence, thinking, okay, this sounds really sexy, and when I have a job interview, I'm going to say I have a Master of International Security and I specialize in intelligence. I just thought it sounded good, and I still think that. I also really like project management and global risks. But yeah, I think that, it is smart to also think about employability. So I would also encourage you to at least choose one that you think sounds really good, and that might help you. But I also, a lot of people don't know what they want to do after their master's, believe it or not. I was definitely in that boat. I'm not really in that boat anymore necessarily, but just don't overthink it. You never know what could actually benefit you, what might not. You might go into it thinking you definitely want to do intelligence, but then end up wanting to work on development instead. and the concentration might not even help you. So just don't overthink it, have fun with it. And again, all of the concentrations are pretty much amazing choices to pick from. So I've really only heard good things. All of my favorite courses have been from my concentration choices. So yeah, those are my 4 big points. But if you have any other questions, of course, reach out to me. And happy Thanksgiving to any Americans out there.